Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores. We're here to talk about several things concerning Marshon. First of all, we're going to talk about his team fit, how he makes this secondary immediately better. Also, we're going to take a look at some stats to see if he's still a top 3 corner as of 2024. Not what he used to be, but is he right now? Also, Adam Peters and Dan Quinn describe exactly how hyped they are about the trade and what went down for the trade to even happen. Also, pray for DJ Reed and more. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get a notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned, follow the content. Of course, I'm keeping y'all updated on everything. I already have so many Marshawn Lynch videos like loaded, just ready to go. I'm so excited. I'm gonna plan on doing a film session on them as well. And of course, make sure you pull up for that Steelers game this Sunday. I will be live streaming that. And also, channel members, be on the lookout for those exclusive film sessions for y'all very soon. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this video, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, let's go all the way back to before the trade deadline even ended. JP Finley texted or tweeted and reported. He said, texted with a league source that thinks Emmanuel Forbes could maybe net a 5th round pick in return. Another said 6th. Will be interesting if he's moved after the Lattimore trade. And to me, to be able to get any draft pick at all for Emmanuel Forbes would have been general manager of the year material for Adam Peters, dog. I was literally to the point, man, can we at least get a gift card in return for Buddy at this point? I'm rooting for Emmanuel Forbes to turn out to be good, but it just doesn't look like it's going that way. And I'm just going based off of perceived trade value. It didn't seem like we could even get a 7th for him. And now JP Finley, well, earlier yesterday was saying that we could potentially get a 6th, maybe even a 5th for him, and then nothing materialized of it. So I'm assuming that those reports were false or whatever ended up happening. But again, a 5th? I don't know who those sources were, but they had to be lying, dog. A 5th for Emmanuel Forbes is crazy right now. And again, by the fact that we didn't even trade him for anything, let alone like a 7th or anything like that, lets you know that that was not true. Now let's dive into Marshon Lattimore. I felt like we had to get that out the way. And now we got to talk about how Marshon Lattimore affects the cornerback room. So shouts out to Scott Abraham. He brings up a good point. So with the addition of Marshon Lattimore, that means that Mike Sanford still will go back to slot corner, his natural position. Benjamin St-Juste will remain on the outside. Noah Benogany will now be just a great depth piece rather than a consistent starter. Now, what do we do with Emmanuel Forbes? And of course, we ended up not trading him, so he'll just kind of be even more severe depth. I mean, if you're talking about the depth chart, it is Marshon Lattimore. I would argue Mike Sanford still over Benjamin St-Juste, then St-Juste, then Noah Benogany, then Emmanuel Forbes, then Michael Davis. That's what our cornerback depth chart looks like right now to me. And I guess I can kind of see that as far as like Mike Sanford still moving to the slot corner. It makes sense schematically, but I'm not going to lie. For me, Mike Sanford still has grown immensely at outside corner. Like, he's improved so much. He's developed so far. I personally just wouldn't straight up move him back to inside corner permanently. Maybe he goes back to playing it more than he has recently because St-Juste is a pure outside corner. So if Sanford still and St-Juste are in the field at the same time, Sanford still would have to be the one that moves to the slot. But I really like how Sanford still has developed outside cornerback wise. But even speaking of matchups, the Pittsburgh Steelers went and traded a 2025 5th round pick to the Jets for wide receiver Mike Williams. And people have been saying that the Steelers made a trade to counter the Marshon Lattimore trade because, you know, we play the Steelers this upcoming Sunday. And so some people are saying, like, well, we traded for Marshon. The Steelers were like, bet, let's go get Mike Williams. And then Mike Williams would be covered by Marshon or anything like that. And that is a complete lie. Man, that is St-Juste work for sure. If there is any type of receiver that Benjamin St-Juste can cover consistently, it's that one. A tall and not very quick nor agile guy that you're literally describing Benjamin St-Juste. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think that's going to be a good matchup, but that's not something for Marshon Lynch to worry about. Marshon Lynch will be covering George Pickens this upcoming Sunday if he plays. Now let's also talk about how good Marshon Lattimore is. I've already given you some of these stats, but now I have additional stats, and I just feel like it's just really fun to just go through all of them, even some of the old ones that I've already given y'all in previous videos. First of all, Marshon Lattimore has not allowed a single touchdown in single coverage since 2021. You know what that means for this entire defense? That now we can start to finally run single high safety or even some cover zero and send guys at the quarterbacks constantly. I mean, again, like I've said in several videos now, please show me, if you remember, anytime that Jeremy Chin or Quan Martin have blitzed the quarterback anytime recently, or any corner has necessarily done it. We were showing that a lot in the preseason, quite a bit in training camp and things like that, the off season. But as soon as we got to the regular season, Joe Wood Jr. realized we can't do that. If we're going to send safeties and corners at the quarterback, we're going to get torched in the passing game because we don't have the right corners, the talent of cornerback play that would allow us to do that without getting torched. Now you have a guy that can literally take away one half of the field, take away the other team's best receiver, and now Joe Wood Jr. and Dan Quinn will be able to deploy that defense, that really aggressive man cover defense that they had in Dallas, which led to them being the best takeaway defense in the NFL over the past 3 years. They've tried to deploy that type of defense and strategy at times this season, and every time it's bitten us for bad. We've allowed big first down catches, big touchdowns and things like that. So that's why we keep ending up having to revert back to like a soft zone coverage scheme, which has us as fans screaming like, why are we playing off so far? Because Joe Wood Jr. is scared for our corners. Now we finally have the cornerback that would allow him to do exactly what he wants to do. You can argue this is the best corner that Joe Wood Jr. has ever had, because even Trevon Diggs and Deron Bland, yeah, they're great at pick sixes, but they're gamblers. They're more of like the Emmanuel Forbes build, but just a far more successful version of Emmanuel Forbes, especially so far in his young career. Marshon Lattimore is a lockup corner. Like, the Cowboys did not have a lockup corner those past 3 years that Joe Wood Jr. and Dan Quinn were there. They did not. Marshon Lattimore is a different level of player, so I know they're really excited because they've never even had somebody like this. I'm even trying to think back to the Dallas Cowboys days, and even going back to the Seahawks for Dan Quinn. Like, Richard Sherman is a Hall of Famer, but he was more of like an elite zone cover corner. Marshon Lattimore is a straight up, I'm following this receiver all game and taking him out of the game, and then everybody else just needs to do their job. And I mean, this is just ridiculous stuff here. Also, continuing, Marshon Lattimore since 2021, he has a 35.1% open target rate allowed. That's fifth best among all corners in the NFL, with a minimum of 1,000 snaps, again, since 2021. Also, quarterbacks have a 70.4 passer rating when targeting Marshon Lattimore over the past 3 seasons. That is insane. Also, if you look on the screen right now, when you're looking at the fewest yards per snap allowed in coverage by cornerbacks this season, 2024, Marshon Lattimore is tied for third with Jalen Johnson and Tariq Woolen with a 0.7. Only Christian Benford with a 0.5 and Pat Surtain with a 0.6 have done better. Also, shouts out the next gen stats for this graphic right here. When looking at cornerback CPOE allowed when targeted versus nearest defender, Marshon Lattimore is third with a negative 12.3%. In parentheses, completion percentage 52.6%. The only cornerbacks better than him at this stat is Jalen Johnson and Renard Green. To break it down, Marshon Lattimore has allowed a negative 12.3% completion percentage over expected when targeted as the nearest defender this season. Third lowest among 75 outside corners. Lattimore has been targeted on just 9.7% of his coverage snaps. Second lowest among outside corners. Basically saying that quarterbacks are afraid of Marshon Lattimore the most in the NFL outside of just one other corner. There's only one other corner in the NFL that quarterbacks are afraid to throw his way more than Marshon Lattimore. And speaking of quarterbacks being afraid to throw to him, Marshon Lattimore this season, shouts out to Mason Kinahan for providing these stats, looking these up. Thank you. 257 coverage snaps, only 14 targets, 8 catches, 83 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Teams literally are afraid to throw it his way. 14 targets all season is insane, because he only missed last week, and I think the Saints already had the bye week, so I believe he's played in 7 games this season. 14 targets, insane. I mean, he strikes fear in a quarterback's hearts. And just imagine when we're going against the Steelers with George Pickens, or the Eagles with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, and they just look pre-snap and say Marshon Lattimore is on that receiver. We're not even going to necessarily consider him. We're going to target everybody else. So, hey, Benjamin St. Juste and Mike Sanford still be ready to cover very well, but at least you will not be covering the other team's best receiver. And I'm not sure if people have noticed, but Marshon Lattimore is only 1 year older than Benjamin St. Juste, speaking of him. So, does that make Lattimore Lattimore seem younger, or does that mean make St. Juste seem older? I mean, either way, all I know is he's well in his prime, and if he is not playing at a top 3, top 5 cornerback level, it will be due to him playing hurt, not his age. So I'm very optimistic about how much he's going to improve this defense. Also, shouts out to Tsunami Kitty Cat, funny name, but great tweet. She said, people are saying Lattimore is washed. Y'all didn't learn your lesson when y'all said Bobby Wagner and Austin Eckler were washed as well, so shut up disrespectfully. And there's a whole bunch of cuss words in that tweet that I had to dance around. Also, shouts out to Grant Paulson. He brought up the fact that Saints analyst Jeff Nowak thinks that Lattimore is at his best when matching up against wide receiver ones. He said, quote, he's a guy that you could just say that's their best receiver. Go take him away, follow him around. He fits best in a scheme that's going to play a bunch of man-to-man on the outside. Shouts out to that Saints reporter for being very honest about how elite of a trade this was for the Washington Commanders. Also, shouts out to Tip Major. He said, dang, the Commanders were only giving up 184 yards per game, 5th fewest passing yards per game before the Marshon Lattimore trade. Imagine how crazy it's about to get now. Now, granted, of course, teams aren't going to pass the ball for much when they can run it as easily as they have been, a few games this season. But still, I can't wait to see how much better this defense gets. Also, shouts out to Mark Phillips because he brings up a funny point. Going forward, Benjamin St. Juste will now be committing pass interferences on opponents' team's number 2 receivers instead of ones. That's improvement in itself. I mean, that's a joke, but of course, we still got to watch out, man. Like I mentioned earlier, Marshon Lattimore will take away the best receiver on the other team, which is huge. That's going to make our defense so much better. But that also means that guys like Benjamin St. Juste and Mike Sanford still will be targeted more, so they need to be ready. Now let's talk about how Washington Commanders players feel about Marshon Lattimore. Well, just to remind you, Marshon Lattimore and Terry McLaurin go way back. They were in the same freshman recruiting class back at Ohio State, and both redshirted their freshman year and played together in 2015 and 2016 with Ohio State, and now they are reunited. Also, Commanders have 3 other members of the Ohio State's 2014 recruiting class specifically, not even just Ohio State players in general, but specifically in that same high school recruiting class going from high school to college that Marshon Lattimore was in going to Ohio State: Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, and Jalen Holmes. Also, just a few years ago, Terry McLaurin talked about Marshon Lattimore. He said, quote, he has that alpha mentality. He wants to smoke every time, unquote. And now they're on the same team, so I know they're so excited because if anything, Marshon Lattimore will also make Terry McLaurin better as well, going against a corner of that caliber every day, every week, all year, every year. That's going to be amazing. And speaking of Terry, do the Commanders, now that we think about it, just take a step back and really think about it. Do the Commanders have the best receiver in the NFC East, along with now the best corner in the NFC East and Marshon Lattimore, and of course the best quarterback in the division with Jaden Daniels, and maybe can we even go as far as to say the best offensive line in the division, especially with some of the injuries that those other offensive lines in the NFC East have suffered as well? Do we have like the best at some of the most important positions? Maybe not edge rusher, but everything else? Hey man, it's looking pretty nice. I mean, you could even make the argument for linebacker as well. But now, going back to how our team feels about the trade. Well, yesterday, immediately after the trade, Dan Quinn went on Sirius XM radio and said, quote, we're really pumped to add him to the crew, unquote. And it's like, if you want to hear more of it, it's like an entire 2-minute clip provided by Sirius XM NFL, but also at J Daniels MVP retweeted it. But in that quote, and from Sirius XM, he said, quote, I think first for Adam Peters and this group, and you've heard us say it, we're going to keep competing in every way we can, and this was another example of how to go do that. We love the toughness, his ability to play man-to-man and guard people. If we had a chance to evaluate who we are and how we are going about doing our business, we're going to do that. So we're really pumped to have him here. Ironically, he was college Ohio State teammates with some of the guys we have here in Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin and some others. We're really pumped to add him to the crew. And then today, in his press conference before practice, my fault. His press conference, he and Adam Peters spoke today. We're going to talk about what Adam Peters had to say about the Marshawn Lynch trade as well very soon. But first, Dan Quinn, when talking about trading Marshon Lattimore being a bold move and everything like that, and Scott Abraham asked, what type of message does this send to the Washington fan base? Head coach Dan Quinn said, quote, our theme of our program is competition. What does Marshon mean? He's a competitor, unquote. That's the best way to describe him. He also said, quote, you had me at hello. This was easy. We're adding a dog A-word competitor, unquote. Also, Quinn said how it would look to work with him and Peters when it comes to acquiring a talent like Lattimore. He said, quote, "I'd say you had me at hello. This was easy, man, to acquire a player of Marshon's caliber, the toughness, and the physicality. I like the you had me at hello quote there." I have to make sure I told y'all that twice to get the quote correct. Also, he said, quote, "He stands for the right stuff. He's got the right and attitude to battle. We're really pumped to have him here," unquote. And then also Dan Quinn said that he loves how Marshon competes and challenges wide receivers, and even mentioned that back in his days with Atlanta as their head coach, when Lattimore would go right at Julio Jones, which of course takes a lot of guts and pride and confidence and competitive nature to just say, I want to cover one of the best receivers of all time and don't even give me any safety help. I got this, is insane. That's the type of guy that you're bringing to your team right now. Also, Quinn said that Adam Peters is very aware of the importance of bringing in the right people into the locker room. So on the field wise, they're very excited, but even off the field wise, locker room wise, team chemistry wise, he said that he wants Lattimore to know that he's on a team full of players who support each other, and I'm sure Lattimore has no idea what that feels like, especially with the level of brotherhood that we've had here. Even when the Saints were good, I don't think it's ever been what we have here, and how these guys hold each other accountable. One, that's very important, but also support each other so far. And then also, now moving on to general manager Adam Peters, he addressed the media today as well. He started by saying Marshon Lattimore is who they thought he was upon getting him into the building. So they basically had a chance to actually talk to him. He pulled up to the facilities today, and Adam Peters is very excited. He also thanked the staff that is behind the work that goes into a deal like this one, including the coaches who share their opinions as well. I love it. Adam Peters also said about Marshon Lattimore, quote, "Whatever your record is, if you can make your team better, you do it," unquote. I love that mentality. Please keep that going. Also, Adam Peters, of course, being a happy guy to get today, all smiles during his press conference. He said that he's very excited about Adam Lattimore, and again, he got here this morning, so they've already had a chance to talk. He also said, quote, "We're really, really excited to get one of the best corners in the entire league. He's a dog competitor. He's what you want in a corner," unquote. All glowing reviews from our head coach and our general manager. Adam Peters also said that they did talk to some of the Ohio State players who were Lattimore's teammates in college. So Dan Quinn brought up the fact that there are some teammates here, like I brought up earlier as well. But Adam Peters even went to say that they even talked to these guys about Marshon Lattimore before they made the trade. He said that they got a good review from them, of course, and then that was pretty much go mode. And I love that. As a general manager, to even take the opinions of different coaches, first of all, and then also the players that know him best from their time in college together and things like that, just to take in as much information and to add as many ingredients to the pot to see what recipe you come out with at the end to get an official answer on what you should do. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure if, like Terry McLaurin says, he doesn't have that much of a work ethic. You know, I'm not sure how much that potentially stops this trade. Who knows? But I appreciate the fact that Adam Peters asks for everybody's opinions on everything, who even matters, who has anything to do with the situation. That is elite level general managing right there. And I mean, that's just insane due diligence. He didn't have to do that. And then Adam Peters also said about Lattimore, Terry McLaurin said that he's a dog competitor as well. Again, very positive reviews. Now, before we get up out of here, a few updates. First of all, we released defensive end FL Bada yesterday, and I was pretty sad about that. Of course, we had to release somebody to make a roster spot for cornerback Marshon Lattimore after we traded for him. But then today, FL Bada returned, which does make me happy. We almost lost our locker room DJ guy, and also he's a very talented guy that can provide some elite athleticism at edge rusher, interior defensive line. He may not necessarily fit or be healthy enough or playing well enough to contribute right now, but I definitely think this is a guy that's only going to get better with time, especially as he stays healthy. But we made the moves to sign defensive end FL Bada to the practice squad, so we cut him from the 53-man roster, put him onto the practice squad, and then we released wide receiver Mike Strahan, I believe that's how I was told, and I believe in the comment section when I talked about him in another video, that's how you pronounce it. But to make room basically for Marshon Lattimore, we cut FL Bada from the 53-man roster, and then to make room for FL Bada to make the practice squad, we cut the wide receiver we signed a couple of years ago. So thank goodness FL Bada is back. I still definitely believe in his talent. I hope another team does not take him away from us. And then also, I don't know if y'all noticed, but by 2 p.m. trade deadline wasn't even over. Actually, 1:45 p.m. Jets star cornerback DJ Reed was really sad. He literally tweeted like a few days ago, eye emojis like, uh-oh, like maybe I'm potentially about to go get traded or something like that. He clearly wants out of the Jets. By 1:45 p.m., very soon after we traded for Marshon Lattimore, he tweeted literally just a sad emoji, basically. And so you could just tell that DJ Reed, a star corner, was one of those people that Adam Schefter was talking about when we talked about earlier, just a few days ago, how really good veteran players around the NFL are telling their agents that they want to be traded to Washington. Clearly, DJ Reed was one of those guys, because again, immediately after we traded for Marshon Lattimore, he put sad emoji. He didn't even wait until the trade deadline. Again, 1:45 p.m. The trade deadline was 4 p.m. He was already sad at 1:45 p.m. So that just tells you he was definitely one of the really good players out there that really wanted to join the Washington Commanders. He's trying to get away from Aaron Rodgers and Devonta Smith to join us here at the DMV. I absolutely love that. Also, lastly, before we get up out of here, for those of y'all wondering, will Marshon Lattimore end up getting his number 23 that he had for the Saints? Chris Rodriguez currently has that number. Yes, he will. Officially, Marshon Lattimore will wear number 23. It's officially been updated, and now Chris Rodriguez will move from 23 to 36. He was perfectly fine with moving on from it. Shouts out to him, even especially to do that after having such a great game like he had last week, just a few days ago against the Giants, and then to be able to change his number to humbly give it to Marshon Lattimore. Shouts out to Chris Rodriguez for that one. Even though I'm not gonna lie, they probably would have done whatever it took to get that number from him, even if he didn't want to give it up, because Marshon Lattimore is one of the best corners in the NFL, and I love Chris Rodriguez, but hey man, you gotta let the stars have the numbers that they want. It's just the way things work, man. But again, shouts out to Chris Rodriguez for being humble enough to just give it up, like just give him the numbers super easily. Great thing, man. Shouts out to him. And if Brian Robinson, for any insane reason, is not able to play against the Steelers, we're depending on you to go out there and ball out again, man. So big salute to Chris Rodriguez. Shouts out to Kentucky, man. As a Georgia Bulldog fan, it sickens me to say it, but Chris Rodriguez is a good dude, man. So I got to shout them out for, giving us a great one right there. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all. I'm going to keep y'all updated on everything. Again, I already have like 2 or 3 more Marshon Lattimore videos loaded up. I can't wait. I just got to record them and edit them and get it to y'all. And I also even have like an injury update from practice today and all of that type of stuff. So be on the lookout for that very soon, a little later on today. Really appreciate y'all. Of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video, especially the reports that we could potentially get a 5th or a 6th for Emmanuel Forbes. Please let me know how you feel about that. But also let me know how you feel about Marshon Lattimore's advanced stats and how good he'll be for us even in 2024. Let me know how you feel about his team fit. Do you feel like Mike Sanderson should permanently move back to slot corner and let Benjamin St-Juste stay the outside cornerback number 2? Let me know how you feel about all of that. And just to let you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that Mike Sanderson will be cornerback 3, because Devonta Smith is more of a slot corner. So we play the Eagles, Marshon Lattimore will be on A.J. Brown, and then that means Mike Sanderson will more than likely be on Devonta Smith, and then Benjamin St-Juste will just be out there covering whoever's left. Maybe Jahan Dotson, I guess. Whatever it takes. So let me know how you feel about all of that. Really appreciate y'all. Make sure you do not leave this video without leaving a like. I'm going to try my best to read and reply to as many comments as possible. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.